Hello everyone. In this session, we are gonna have a discussion regarding a Python. So the name itself looks like a bit interesting over here, right? Like Python means if we just see the name called as in Python, the image that came into our mind, which you can able to see over here, you can see the snake image over here, right? Yeah. So that's what comes into our mind. But no, that's not what we are talking about. Here we are talking regarding the programming language called as in Python. So let's enter into a concept. So actually, he's a person called as in you can see the person Guido van Rossum. He's a person who has implemented this Python programming language. Nowadays, we can able to see that the many programming languages are there like C++, Java and all that, ESC language and all. We have many languages. Out of the nowhere, we are discussing regarding the Python language, Python programming language and all that. And directly it started by saying like Guido van Rossum is the person who invented this Python programming language and all. Like, what is it? Why are we even discussing about it? So, if you want to have a proper idea regarding the Python programming language, you have to be strong enough in these three things. What is a Python programming language? Why are we using this Python programming language and how to use it? So first of all, let's have a discussion regarding what is a Python programming language and why do we use it. So basically, this Python programming language, it is used for building your websites. Websites like we can just talk about, and also we can able to implement the search engines like Google and all that, isn't it, guys? Now you can say like, is it possible that can we able to develop the search engines by using this Python programming language? Of course, yes. This Python it's very easy compared to your other programming language, so that's what we are here to learn this programming language. It's like not only developing the like what websites and search engines, and also we can able to like what we can say that we can able to develop some softwares over here, and as well as we can able to automate the task and analyze the data. So basically Python is a general purpose language. What kind of language it is? It's a general purpose language, and it is not specialized for any specific like basically a problems, and it is used to create a various programs. Now, in short, we can say that Python is an interpreted and object oriented. It's an high level programming language. So we can say that my Python is a high level programming language. So I hope we got somewhat of an idea like it's a programming language. By using this Python, we can able to develop all these things, you know. So now to get into more details of this fun part over here, we need to enter into the next concept called as like why do we need the Python program. So just let me erase this. So let's enter into our next slide called as in like why Python has been created and all that. See, in the year 1980s, we know like the Guido van Rossum is the person who has implemented this Python programming language. Now, why does this idea came for the Guido van Rossum for developing this Python programming language? We'll come to the story later, like why the name Python came and all that. But first of all, why he wanted to develop this Python programming language? Actually, this person was working in the Amoeba distributed operating system. He was working in a company called Agile. Very few persons know regarding this, guys. Amoeba distributed operating system. I'll shortly note it as an OS. Now, in that company, they were using an interpreted language called as an ABC. ABC, actually, it's not like simply I have named it as an alphabet. It's a language called as an ABC, and he want this ABC is an interpreted language. In short, in the upcoming videos, we will know what is an interpreter meant by. So what do you mean by interpreter? It's nothing but it can able to access the Amoeba system calls. So by seeing this language, he decided to create a language that was extensible. So this Guido van Rossum wanted to create a language which was extensible, and this has to the programming language has to design of a new language which was later named with the name called as a Python. So all those things. And interpreter, mainly here we have to focus on this interpreter. What do you mean by interpreter? It's one of the important feature of the Python, which we will be seeing in the next videos and all that. So let's moving forward. Why the name Python came? Was it actually named about the like what we can say, the dangerous snake? Is the Python language named in the place of the dangerous snake? No. That's why we are wrong. So basically, this Rossum, Guido van Rossum, he was a fan of a famous comedy series in the late, in his late 1970s, something like that. And the name Python, like basically we can say like this Python language has been named for the same series. And what is the series? Actually, he was the fan of the person who was hosting that show, and that show name is nothing but Monty Python Flying Circus. So that's how, from that particular famous circus show, the like basically it's a comedy show, he actually extract that name called as in Python, and he has given us that particular name. So this is how the name Python has been given for the language which we are going to learn now. So now, before learning any programming language, guys, we need to know, like, we have known like what is a Python and why the name Python came and all that. And actually now we need to learn why actually we are learning Python. Shall we see that? Yes. Now, if you want to understand why actually we are learning a Python, we need to know the features of a Python so we can get a great idea on that. So basically, Python provides like many useful features which makes it popular and valuable from the other programming language. Why? Because we need to have an idea, right? Why we are learning Python? As I already know, let's say like some of you might be knowing C++, some of you might be very strong enough in Python, but still, why are we learning Python? So it supports object-oriented programming as well as procedural programming approaches, and provides a dynamic memory allocation as well. So these are all the few list of the Python features. The first feature which we are talking about is nothing but it's a simple language which is easy to learn. Yes, as they said that Python language is easy to learn. How can I say it's a simple language and easy to learn? Based on its syntaxes. Like Python syntax are the straightforward as much as same as your English language. Like let's say if you're comparing to your other programming language, if I'm asking you to write a basic code for the hello world, what do you have to do? You need to import the packages, then the main function, and then its printing statement. And so many curly braces will also be there. Whereas in Python, if I simply say the hello world means I'll just simply write the statement called as in hello world. That's it. And expressive language. So that's what here we are talking about. We have already covered that expressive language in the syntax itself. It can perform the complex task using a few lines of code. For example, just now I told you an example called as in printing hello world. So what will I do? I'll just simply use print hello, or you can also write this basically a hello. That's it. I'll get my output. Yes, the same hello world if you want to do in the other programming languages, how will you do it? You need to use some header files, like you'll be having some header files and then some curly braces and some main functions and all, and inside that you will be writing that hello world. Whereas compared to those programming languages, here simply in the Python I can simply write print hello world. And those who have a zero programming language, it's a great way to start them by starting using the Python programming language. And it will be taking only one line to execute, guys. As you can see, that simply print hello world. How many lines are we using it? Just for the small hello world, a single line. Isn't it great? Yes. Now interpreted. As I told you in the upcoming slides in the videos, we'll learn regarding the interpreter. Coming to that. Means, what do you mean by interpreter? Of course, Python is an interpreted language, but what is it? It means we can say that this line can be executed. Like this interpreter means I can able to execute one line at a time. One line at a time means, let's say I have written 11 lines of codes. Yeah, of course, hello world, it's a basic code. We have written one line. But in the like a future upcoming videos and all, they will be writing a codes which will be having a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines and all that. So let's say that I have got an error in the exactly line number 5. So what will you do? You will not read the entire code and all that, right? You will just exactly go to the line 5 and say, hey, I have got an error in the line number 5. It will not even go to line 6 or line 7 or line 8 when you try to execute it. Your code will stuck at the line number 5 and says like, I have got an error in the line number 5. Solve that error and go for line number 6. So what will happen at that time? It will be very easy for the user to understand where you are going wrong and all that. So that's the reason we are saying that Python is an interpreted language. And it's free and open source. Of course it is free and open source. As you can able to see this, I'll show you that. How am I saying it's free and open source? It's nothing bad. Let's say that here I'll be typing www.python.org. Yes, if I just simply typed it, you can see that it's free for me. I can go to downloads and I can able to download the particular version. Here it is showing you like which version it is showing you. Python 3. If you can just scroll down, it will show you 3.1, 12.1, 3.11.7. You can able to download whichever the version you want. You can click on download and I can able to download it for the free of cost. You can just simply see it. I'm just showing you. Already Python has been installed in my desktop as usual. So I've just clicked on the download. You can just see this. If you have the operating system, it's like yours, like Mac OS, you can install it. Windows 32 or 64-bit and all that, you can just click on that 64 or 32. You can just click on download. I am just pausing this download because already it has downloaded in my laptop. So simple. So once after downloading, it will be available in your downloads of your file folder. You can able to go and use it. That's why we can say that Python is a free and open source. I hope you can get it. And now coming to here your object oriented programming language. Python supports object oriented programming language because it supports some of the features of the object oriented OOPS concept, like we can talk about inheritance. These we'll see in the like upcoming videos, guys. When we actually start doing the videos about the OOPS concept, at that time we will learn regarding that inheritance, and as well as the we can say like polymorphism and encapsulation, so on. There are so many features at that, and actually Python is a secure, but in that security level it will be providing you the much more security to your applications if you develop by using this Python with the help of this OOPS concept. Now coming to extensible, it implies that the other programming languages, like we can talk about the C or C++, it can be used to compile the code and thus can be used further in our Python code also. And this will be converting the program, like basically let's say the basic code I have written, any programming language I have written in the Python, it will be converting into the byte code, and I can able to use this bytecode in any other platform. Now here with the help of our larger standard libraries, like we can able to use this libraries. With the help of this libraries, I can say that my Python is a very shortest language. Like the code whichever I'm gonna write, it will be in the optimized manner. And what will happen if I'm using this in the sort of an optimized manner means I can able to use in the various fields such as your machine learning, web developers, and also for the scripting and all. And I can able to use in the Django, Flask, Pyramids, and popular frameworks for the Python for the web developing and all that. For those things we can able to use this Python features and all. Now, this is what regarding the Python features, and I hope like you people might have got at least some basic idea regarding the features of the Python. Yes. Okay. Now in the next slide we are gonna have a discussion regarding the applications of the Python. Like here you can see that we are talking about the web applications, scientific and the numeric and all that, and software prototypes and all that. There are so many applications and all that. What is it like? What we are gonna use it, like what kind of an web applications you're talking about? Okay, Basically, Python is known for its general purpose nature. Like, what is it? Nothing but it makes it applicable in almost every domain of your software development. Like, for example, there are some specific applications have been developed with the help of this Python. The first one is nothing but web application. Like, what kind of a web application here we are talking about? If you can pay attention, we can use Python to develop web application. It will be providing you the libraries to handle like internet protocols. Like, what kind of an internet protocols? If you just talk about over here is nothing but such as your HTML, XML, JSON, emails, so on, a number of things will be there and all that. So one of the Python web framework named your Django. Yes, guys, Django. It is used on the Instagram. I hope many of you might be using an Instagram, right? So Python provides many useful frameworks like Django and the Pyramid framework, Flask and Bottle, Plon and Django CMS Advanced, and all that these kind of things. And including that, there are some scientific and the numeric computings are also there, and software prototypes. Like, Python is used for your like basically software development process. Like, here it will be using scons to build, it is used to build control, and apart from that it is used for like buildbot, Apache, gums. These are used for automated continuous compilations, so round or tag for bug tracking and project management. Now coming to here your scientific and numeric computing. Like, what is it? Like, basically this is an era for your artificial intelligence. That's bring your interest over here when I'm talking regarding an artificial intelligence, right? Where the machine can perform the task the same as human. So Python language, it's the most suitable language for artificial intelligence or machine learning. It consists of the many scientific and mathematical libraries, which makes easy to solve the complex calculations as well. So if you are like, let's say in the future, if you are implementing a machine learning algorithms, it requires complex mathematical calculations. So Python has inbuilt libraries for that as well, instead of writing a code for that. Like, you may ask, ma'am, like what kind of a thing you're talking about? You said like you can able to develop some libraries and all that. What are that? Like, we do have some kind of a libraries, like we can talk about the NumPy, pandas and all that. These are all the libraries. So and so, not only this, many libraries are there which will be making your calculation, complex calculations a bit faster in your this Python. So based on all these things, we can say that Python is a good language to teach programming language. And apart from these, we can also develop the 3D CAD applications. So what we will be doing in the 3D CAD applications? CAD means it's a computer aided design. So what we will do in this computer aided design, it's nothing but we will be used for designing engineering related architecture. Like, it's used for developing your 3D representation. It's a part of a system by using AnyCAD, RCAM and all that. So there are many more applications. Like, we can even talk about the image processing applications. Like, you can able to manipulate the images, do some changes and all that. So there are many more applications are there which can be developed, and that to the advanced application which can be developed by using this Python programming language. I hope you got a clarity on this. Yes. Okay. So now we are like able to say like, okay, these are about the applications which has been developed in this Python programming language and all that. So now in this video we are gonna talk regarding data types. Now, what do you meant by a data type? Like, why do I need it? Now we are entering into other basics of a Python. Like, whatever the applications we have studied, directly I cannot jump into that application like saying like, hey, let's develop the Django application or let's develop some scientific and numeric applications. Whatever you want to do, here we are talking regarding the calculations. So if we want to do the calculations, we need to understand the machine. Like, whatever we are talking, we need to make the machine to understand, right? So basically data types. So there are the different types of the data types are there in Python. Like, we can talk about the first data type here we are having is nothing but the numeric data type. And the next one is a string data type. The next one is a list, dictionaries, and tuples. Now, we will see in detail regarding these particular data types over here in Python. But before entering into this particular programming language of the data types of the Python and all that, here, as I have told you, like the basic high level language, we can able to print it. I have just shown you its particular like print high level and all that, right? Let me show you its practical representation also over here. Here in my laptop already I have downloaded some IDLE shell, which is nothing but which I have shown you in my this previous video itself, right? Like www.python.org, if we type we'll get that thing. Yep. So now I'm opening a new tab. Control N is a shortcut for opening a new file. Let me print here simply hello world. Control yes. I'll just save it on the desktop with the name called as base. And here, this programming language is a Python programming language, right? So the file name, if I want, I can give whatever the file I want, but I need to save it with the .py extension. So let me save it. And if I want to run, I'll be using the shortcut called as an F5, and you can see the output you're getting as an hello world. Is it, guys? Are you getting the output over here? Yes. So this is what regarding printing here, this basic Python like hello world and all that. So isn't it very easy? Now let's say that I want to print something else, like let's say that we are learning Python. Everything, whatever we are doing, we are writing in the sort of a double quotes here. We are learning Python. Control yes, F5. Now this time you can see that I am getting hello world, we are learning Python. Let me close it and just run it and show it to you again. I will be using F5. Hello world, we are learning Python and all that. I hope you can able to get it. Yes. If not, if this is not working, you can see here the run option available. You can click on run module. That will also give you the output. Okay. Few laptops, the shortcut key F5 may not work. For few laptops, you can use function F5 or control F5 and all that. And so this is about our basic code of printing this Python programming language. Now, coming back to our data types. In this video, just now as you have seen that I have just simply printed the hello world over here. Now here in this, we are having some kind of a numeric data type to be printed. Yes. So now you can see we have printed simply hello world over here and all that, right? Now let's say if I want to perform some kind of a calculation, like let's say performing two numbers, for that we need integer values like natural numbers and all. So for those things, for storing those kind of values and all that, we are having the concept called as in data types. In this numeric data type, we will be having a like the separate types of the data types, like it will be holding an integer, float, complex, as well as the long. In the sort of this integer data type, it will be holding the signed integers of the non-limited length. Basically, the signed integers of the non-limited length over here, basically we can talk about, let's say 5. 5 is your integer value, 6 integer value, 100 integer value, let's say like lakh isn't like integer value, 10 billion, is it your integer value? Here they have mentioned the sizes of the non-limited length. So for that, here int means it will be storing only the natural numbers. Numbers means here technically we'll be calling them as an integers. Like here I'll be storing them as like int data type. Got it? Is yes. So any doubts for this over here? Okay. So like these integers, we have, let's say, decimal values we do have. For storing those decimal values, we are using the data type called as an float, and it can able to store up till how many decimal values? 15. Like let's say 10.2345. Is it in within the range of 15 decimals? Of course, it is just holding up the 4 decimal places. So like this, up till how many decimal places I can able to store? 15 decimal places. So like in the future, if I perform some kind of an calculation, my output can be in the sort of the result of the decimal values. So this floating value, if I use a float data type over here, I can able to store approximately up to how many decimals? 15 decimal values over here. In the next video, we will be seeing regarding your the complex. So complex means here we can talk about the real and the imaginary values. Like here you can see as nothing but a plus ib. This is going to be considered as your real part and this is going to consider as your imaginary value. So here in the technical term, at the place of I, we will be using either small j or the uppercase. Basically, I'll be calling it as an uppercase of j instead of the capital J. Now, long data type. Basically, this long data type, it is used for increasing the range of integer. But as we have seen, the integer range is of unlimited, right? So if it is an unlimited means I can able to store this up till how many, whatever the range I want. Whereas this long data type was there in this till version 2, whereas integer doesn't have any fixed limit of length. I can able to store up till how much of the length I want. So that's why in the Python version 3, its length has been deprecated. So like this, we have many other data types over here. So now if I want to check the data type of the value and all that, let's see here. We will be using an inbuilt function called as a type over here. Like as you can see this, it will be justifying you it belongs to a what type of the variable or the value it belongs to. Like for example here, a equals to 100, print type of a. A is a what type of value? Integer. So it will be printing you the output called as an class int like this. Whereas b equals to 10.235 if you are using, if I use print type of b, it will be giving me the output called as a class float. Let's see it practically over here as we have seen it. So let me use it here as nothing but a equals to, let's say that 5659879. Now print type of a. You can see this, the number of parentheses I'm opening here, the number of parentheses I'm closing. So let me run it. F5 is a shortcut. It is printing me as an output called as an class int. Whereas in the next slide, let me use, next line I'll be using it as like 34.4578 something 98 and all that I've used. Now here I'm gonna use print type of b F5. It is printing class of float. It's not only for integer or float. You can even use the complex number also. You can see that c equals to 7 plus j8. Okay, let me show you here I8 and show what exactly we'll be getting. Print type of C, Control S F5. It is throwing me an error. This is what called as an interpreter, where I was telling you. Interpreter means what it is showing. Wherever you are getting a line, exactly error, it is showing. It is showing me like line 5 you have an error. Name I8 is not defined. So line 5. So where is this? Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Line 5, this is right. So interpreter means as we have discussed, exactly it will be showing you in which line you have an error. So we will, as I have discussed, will not use I, will be using J. Now let me run it again. Here it is showing like what? 7 plus j8 is not defined, line 5 an error. So what it is showing exactly, it is showing you like exactly the name error. That type of the variable is not justified over there. So how to do it? Let me explain you over here how to use the complex numbers alone in your this Python over here. So let's go to our this particular slide back. Here you have to use it as 8j. Are you getting the class complex? Previously it was not j8. We have to use it as an 8j. Real number plus the imaginary number and that the j value you have to use. It's not like only the lower case of j. You can even use the upper case of j also. Let me use it as d equals to 5 plus 6j. Print Let's try that. Type of D Fi. Are you getting class complex for that as well? Yes, guys. It's not only type function. Basically, you can see that it's proved that it's used for basically identifying you like the value belongs to what kind of the part over here. I hope it's clear for you guys regarding this. Yeah. Now in this we will be discussing regarding how to print a line. Basically, in your other programming languages like your C, C++, and Java, we have to use a /n. Like we have to use /n for entering into your next line. Whereas in Python, function A by default, this print function if you use, it will be entering into the next line. Here you have seen, right? You can see print type of A we have used. It is printing, it belongs to what data type in like it, let me run it again. Yeah, it is showing like it belongs to integer. Whereas it comes to the next B value, type of B, it belongs to what? Float. It is printing in the next line as nothing but it belongs to the class float over here. Got it? So that's what. Basically, this print functionality is used for printing the elements line by line. You can even use a single quotes as well as the double quotes in a Python. So this is what regarding your printing elements in the next line over here. You can see A equals to 10. Print A. What will be your output? Any guesses for this? Here you can see A will be printed. Why? Because if you observe this clearly, if I am you printing anything in the double quotes, it will be considering that as a statement to be printed. So it's printing the output called as an A. Whereas if you want the A value 10 to be printed, here A is the 10 is the value which is stored inside a variable. So here this A we will be calling it as a variable. So now coming up the concept called as like why do I need variable? Basically like a variable, it is a name given to a memory which is used for storing the value inside it. So here A equals to 10. So now if I remove the double quotes within this printing statement, so here now you can see at the place of A, it is printing the value inside this. So what's going to happen? So A equals to 10 means, so variable like this will be created with some memory address. This is going to called as your memory address. So as I doesn't know I cannot able to remember the memory address. So let's talk regarding your like phone numbers and all that. You'll be having a mobile numbers in your mobile phone, right? Contact numbers will be there, right? Will you be remembering the contact number or the name of that contact? Definitely a name of the contact, right? It's highly impossible for a person to remember the contact number of thousands and thousands of contacts you have in your mobile number. So the same way, it's not easy for the user to remember the memory address. So for remembering what type of the value is stored inside that, we will be using our variable name here. So now A equals to 10 means the value 10 will be stored inside the memory with the address something 1000, some 1000F, something will be given for that. Some memory address will be completely taken care by the compiler, or basically we can even say like machine. So for remembering that value inside that, we'll be using the variable here. So basically this variable name is used for storing the value inside it. So A equals to 10 will be printed as your output. So this is what regarding your this how to read an input value and all, like how basically what are the data types we have seen and how to print the basically statement and all that. Now here in the next upcoming videos we'll see like how to read an input from the user. Thank you so much guys. If you do like it, please do click on the like button and please do subscribe. Thank you.